Hey there, Bookkeeping Side Hustle community. Great to have y'all here on this sunny September afternoon. We are here today to do a deep dive into the TurboTax Live job opportunities. This is the second of many interviews in our month-long virtual job fair. We are going to be joined today by two recruiting pros for the TurboTax, the whole TurboTax suite of jobs. Karina Deckard and Santiago Barrientos are here. A couple of things about admin things before I have them introduce themselves. I wanted to let you know, so tomorrow we're interviewing some QuickBooks Live recruiters, and then next Monday we're going to be interviewing the TurboTax Canada recruiting team. If you live in Canada and want that job, that will be the interview you need to listen to for those details. And then on October 14th and October 19th, we're going to have two interviews with people who are actually practicing tax pros with TurboTax, a more senior person, a TurboTax expert, and then a TurboTax associate as well. So be sure and tune in for those. And if you're ready to apply, you're going to see a link here on the screen, but just go to bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Intuit. And Karina and Santiago and their team are ready to field your applications. So that's the admin stuff. And now we're going to dive in. I would like to ask our guests to introduce themselves and just tell us what you're looking forward to about this job fair that we're having. Karina, can we start with you?
Absolutely. Well, welcome everybody. Good afternoon. I am Karina Deckard, and I'll tell you, I'm located in Southern California, and I've been with Intuit for the last going on 8 years now. I'll still always focusing on TurboTax Live. So we want to make sure we're always looking for tax experts to help out our TurboTax customers. So we need your expertise, please.
All right. And Santiago, what about you?
Yeah, so my name is Santiago Barrientos. Been with TurboTax for about 3 years now. So, of course, what I guess one thing to be looking forward to is just, I guess networking and of course, getting to meet, candidates and faces.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, they're going to be in the Facebook group, y'all. So also when you go to bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Intuit, there's going to be a big red button that says join the Get Hired Facebook group. And that's where a lot of this networking will happen, where you can ask questions. If you've never had a virtual interview before, maybe you've been doing taxes like locally for a long time, and this will be your first computer interview or something like that, you can get the support that you need and the encouragement and some tips. So I would like for us to dive in straight to the questions. And we're going to start with Karina, and everybody always wants to know about the benefits of the job. So why don't we start there, kind of get those details out there for everyone to hear. I think you told me ahead of time that you had a slide you'd like to share. Shall we do that?
I am going to screen share.
All right.
So these are the two roles that with TurboTax Live we're focusing on. So we have a tax associate and the credential tax expert. So I'm going to provide you guys with all the nitty-gritty information that you need here. So both roles, we are looking for a minimum of 3 or more seasons of paid tax preparation experience and a minimum of 30 or more tax returns per season. Both roles, I'll tell you the difference is the tax associate does not require any credentials, whereas the tax expert, we do require an active credential, whether it's your CPA, enrolled agent, or practicing attorney. A PTIN is required for both roles, but both roles, in essence, they're going to be answering any and all basic tax questions that come through from our customers, assisting them with their returns, whether it's reviewing, signing off, or preparing their return. And it's really going to be based on what the customer is looking for. So when it comes to preparing returns, if the customer doesn't want it, you don't do it. So we train our roles to be able to do all of those functions. Now, we're also looking for individuals that are bilingual in Spanish, because we offer TurboTax in Spanish. So anybody that is bilingual in Spanish, we do offer a language differential. We also have a bilingual verification that you'll have to go through. For both of these roles, you're working remotely, 100% remote. We will provide you with the equipment and training that you need to be successful. And the way that you communicate with our customers, it's through phone and video. One of the equipments that we provide is a laptop. So the laptop, we will have, it'll have Amazon Connect, and that's how you make the call. So what happens is once you start you're placed in a queue, and then the calls get routed over to you. And then the customer is the one that gets to decide whether or not they want to be on video. So we have that. And I'll tell you, when you're on video with the customer, sometimes people will get kind of nervous, but it's really awesome because it's a small screen that the customer is going to see, because what's going to happen is when you're on video, the customer is going to give you permission to screen share. So that means that the agent is going to have 100% permission to be moving around on their TurboTax screen to be able to assist them. Now, the training that we provide, it's all done remote. So it's 10 days of training. It's a combination of live training sessions and then self-led sessions. It is paid training.
You said 10 days, you said?
Correct, 10 days of training. And then after you're done with the training, you are ready to start taking calls. Now, prior to all of that, we'll get into specifics, but any tax associate that we do hire, typically 30 days after their start date, they will get an invitation to participate in Intuit's expert credentialing program. Intuit offers this opportunity to obtain your enrolled agent license. We will pay for the entire program. So it will pay for the exam, the curriculum. We utilize Fast Forward Academy. You'll have mentors, people that will walk you every step of the way. It's volunteer, so you don't have to if you don't want to, but why not? I mean, this is like a $1,500 program. Take the opportunity if Intuit's providing for this. The only hard thing that the tax associate has to do is pass the EA exam. Now, once our tax associates obtain their enrolled agent license, there is opportunity to move into the tax expert credential role, which bumps up your pay. And then we also have seasonal leads and seasonal manager roles, but those roles do require active credentials. So this is an awesome opportunity that Intuit's able to provide to our seasonal groups. Now, in reference to benefits, because you asked about benefits, so for our seasonal employees, we do not offer medical benefits. However, we offer the option to participate in Intuit's 401k plan, stock purchase. You get product discounts. We have insurance that will cover you. You get sick time. Let's see what else. A free copy of TurboTax. And of course, I'll tell you, a lot of our agents, even though they're working just for the tax season, season after season, this is going to be the first group that we call to come back, and they get first dibs at work schedules as well. So I'll talk about work schedules in a bit. Kate, I know you, is there any other questions you want to ask about, like benefits, before I move on to the next slide?
No, I'm just wanting to kind of quantify. Are you able to say, like, generally what kind of a pay difference there is between tax associate and credentialed? I mean, is it like a couple dollars an hour more?
It all depends. We offer competitive rates based on the state that you reside in. So for the tax associate and tax expert, it could, depending, some states it's a $2-3 difference. So it really just depends where you're located. Now, I will tell you this. For the tax associate, we do offer an end of season performance bonus of up to $2,000. The credential tax expert, their bonus amount is up to $3,000. Now, a few things with the bonus. Typically, everyone gets their bonus paid out. The only time you wouldn't is if your performance is not good. Your manager during training will have those detailed discussions on what they're going to be looking at with your bonus and performance. And you also have to complete the entire season with us to also be eligible to receive that bonus amount.
Okay, a couple of other questions. You mentioned that once you get that credential, you can move into the roles that aren't seasonal. Are those part-time?
No, you move into a credential role. So like a tax associate, when they get their EA, they move into a tax expert role. So you don't have to interview. The other roles, it's still seasonal. So seasonal lead and a seasonal manager. Those are all still seasonal. For TurboTax, we typically don't hire a lot of full-time permanent roles. These are a lot of roles that we hire for the tax season. There may be one-off situations where we do, but they're very rare.
Well, I thought I had met someone who said they were still part-time, but they were able to work through the summer, and then they were taking off just a few months this fall. And I didn't know.
I'll explain that.
Okay.
So, everybody knows with the IRS, there's always extensions. So
Right.
whenever we have extensions, what happens is our managers will ask agents who's willing to stay past the April deadline. That's what happens, because we still need agents to be able to assist our customers.
All right.
Their end date, typically everyone's end date is in January. So whoever agrees, yes, I'll work through the summer, they'll work through the summer. And we still bring it back.
I guess what I was just pointing out that there seems to be a lot of variety in, you know, how much you want to work, how long throughout the year you want to work. And so there's once you're kind of in the system, because you said that lots of people do get asked to come back. I know that on Monday's interview they said there's like a 90% return rate for these
Correct.
jobs.
That is correct.
So as you're coming back, you're probably like hearing about like, well, oh, I can stay and be on the extension team, or oh, I can get the credential and move up to tax expert. So
Right.
it just seems like there's a lot of
There is.
variety for people who love taxes.
Absolutely. And I will tell you that with work schedules, so all agents, at least the tax associate and tax experts, they are required to work a minimum of 20 hours a week. You can work in 4-hour blocks of time. So if you want to do 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the evening, you can go ahead and do so. The max number of hours, that's up to you. So people can pick up to work as many hours as long as they stick to that minimum commitment of 20 hours a week.
Okay. So I think that hits the benefits. Tell us about the recruitment process if you don't mind.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So just to give you guys an idea of our recruiting to onboarding process, it all starts with if you express interest, there's a form that you would complete where we gather your information, and we also want to find out whether you're credentialed or not. So then that way, when your information hits the recruiter will know, okay, I'm going to consider this person for a tax associate or for a tax expert role. And then what the recruiter will do is first they'll try to initiate a contact via phone or email, just to make sure that they can get you scheduled for a 20 or 30-minute brief interview over the phone to talk about the role. They'll ask you some questions just to kind of get an idea of your work history, your tax experience, tax knowledge, all of that good stuff. If everything looks good and you are interested in moving forward, then we move on to the next step, which is our online interview. We utilize HireVue. HireVue is our new online interview digital tool. During the interview, it's going to be assessing your tax knowledge, your customer empathy, your customer service skills, and communication. And the way it's formatted, it's a mixture of video questions. So it's not a live interview. Video questions, the questions will pop up on the screen. You're going to be recording your responses, and then it's followed by multiple choice and written. The nice thing is that the multiple choice and written, think of it like an open book type of questionnaire, because you'll have the opportunity to research the questions. Remember, they're basic tax questions, nothing too deep, but it's all about individual tax returns. So the whole process should take about an hour or so. And then after the individuals complete the interview, then we have a separate team of managers that are going to be evaluating all of the interviews. The typical turnaround time from the candidate to hear back from the recruiter is typically a week from the time that they complete the interview. If you haven't heard back from the recruiter within a week, I strongly encourage you to please reach out to your recruiter and ask for an update. But regardless, if you successfully pass the interview, the next step is a verbal offer. During that verbal offer, that's when the recruiter is going to give you specifics on the start dates, the end date, your compensation, your bonus. They're going to collect some information from you. And then we initiate the background check. And when we initiate the background check, then you'll also get your offer letter via email. Now, since we all work remote, the way everything gets sent via email. So we start telling people, check your emails. We don't want you to miss on anything. But once you get your offer letter, we do ask that everyone signs it, and everyone is going to be signing it securely. We utilize DocuSign. You get a specific code, so that way it's just for you getting your offer letter, signing it. And then another step that we do is that we have some additional checks that we require for everyone to complete. One of them is internet speed test, and we have specific upload and download speeds. And the reason is because we don't, especially because you'll be on video with our customers and screen sharing, you don't want it to take 15, 20 minutes just to screen share with the customer. And with the internet speed test, I will tell you that we do require everyone to be hardwired. We do not accept satellite internet, no hotspots, no cell phone, and no wireless connection. And it's all for security reasons, just as a heads up. And then PTIN, since we ask everybody to have a PTIN, we will request a copy of it. For those being hired into the tax expert role, we will verify your credentials. And that credential verification is part of the background check process where it's done through the IRS. Once all of those checks are all successfully completed, then our new hires will receive another email that comes from Intuit Onboarding. That's where all of our new hires will complete new hire paperwork, I-9. We will ask that you confirm shipping so that way we know which address to send you our spiffy equipment to. And then the last thing that everyone will do for onboarding is enter their work schedules. So once somebody has visibility to the scheduling piece of it, they will be able to see what's available for the entire tax season. And we strongly encourage everyone, just fill it up and you can make changes later on. But at least that way, grab schedules, grab what you want, and make adjustments later on. Or if you want to add more schedules, by all means, that's awesome. And then the last step really is onboarding. So on your first day, that's when your equipment will arrive. On your first day, the managers will be scheduling welcome calls so that way you know what to expect during training. So training starts on the first day, and voila, you're all ready to go.
What are the hours that when you get that scheduling
Yes.
calendar to pick from? Are
Great
y'all open 24? Y'all aren't open like 24 hours a day, are you?
Yeah. So from January through April, we're open 7 days a week between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. Pacific. It's very
Okay.
important to know it's on Pacific time zone. So those are our operating hours.
Okay. So someone just asked me today about whether they could do this while they still had their 9 to 5, and that seems like it would not be a sustainable lifetime plan. But if you did it for just like a tax season,
Right.
got your credential, told Karina that you wanted, first look at one of like the full-time jobs or whatever, like, you could start working it. Then maybe
And
you
you're,
only have to do that
yeah,
for a season, and you could do it after, especially if you're on the East Coast, you
you
could
work
easily
for
do a night shift.
And the nice thing too is, I mean, you're in control of your schedule. So if you wanted to do, as long as you stick to that minimum, if you want to do 4 hours in between, you can. Some people want to push it for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We welcome that as long as you're doing your minimum of 20 hours a week.
Oh, okay. So you could do like one late night and then a brutal Saturday and like a not so
Yeah.
brutal Sunday. Okay. I mean, y'all, this is part of that hustle aspect, and then eventually, hopefully, it kind of can
Right.
settle down into that role that you're wanting. And if it's with Intuit, like they're not slowing down the TurboTax program. I can tell by all the TV ads.
Yes.
um, well, that's great. Guys, I wanted to let y'all know that the comments are open. If you have any questions, there was one and about whether these are available outside of the U.S. And at this time, I know the answer to that is no. There are jobs in Canada. We'll find that out. There are TurboTax Live jobs in Canada, not the QuickBooks Live jobs yet. So maybe one day we'll have Intuit Tax Prep Europe. Who knows? But not yet. But feel free to ask other questions, y'all. Santiago, thanks for waiting your turn. I got some questions for you about what y'all are looking for in applicants. I mean, I know Karina mentioned the 3 years, 30 returns, and a lot of people, the standard wisdom is like kind of like apply anyway, even if it's been like maybe a couple of years or whatever. So like, let's assume people has that basic stuff that y'all are asking for. What are the soft skills? What are the things that can make someone stand out?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, pretty much, I guess one of the things, of course, we look for is, those minimum 3 years now, minimum 30 returns per year. Now, of course, sometimes, if you sometimes like don't add certain things that like you normally would have, like for example, if you volunteered, and did some taxes, on the side, or if you did, something that like, something like that, that's really really helpful to include on the resume. Other things that are also really helpful to have is, the type of software that you have used. So even if you've not used an Intuit product, but, sometimes if you've used any other type of tax software, that's always pretty helpful to have. Um, other things, I would say, it's one of those things, in the higher view interview, we do look, sometimes some of those soft skills too. So like, because it is a customer facing role, just sometimes, just something I guess would something to keep in mind, as you're having these conversations, or as you're going through the higher view. I guess, does that help a little bit?
Yeah. So if people are nervous about that higher view interview, what tips do you have for that? I know there are lots of people who have never tried to get a job that way. They've maybe done just like the in-person stuff, and so I think it's timed, right? Like I heard one girl recently, she had an interview this week, and she's like, yeah, there's a couple questions that were kind of like like a military family question or something. She's like, I didn't know that, but I just kind of tried the best I can. I wished I had more time. And I told her she probably did great. Based on the way she was talking, she definitely knew taxes, so I bet that came through. But yeah, what advice do you have for just that recorded interview portion?
Yeah, and for that, I guess we do keep that in mind. Like, this is not a traditional interview, or like maybe candidates have not done. Maybe you've never done an interview like that, and we totally understand that. So we do keep that in mind. Now, like Karina said, some of those questions are open book. So like, I always recommend maybe having some sort of like tax guide or some sort of resource on hand. That way, like, you feel a little bit more at ease. You can look back and, maybe do like a little bit of a quick research. And if not, just sometimes it's just nice to have for that peace of mind.
Y'all, the Control F button on your computer is amazing. So even if you're like a paper, like, look, I've got paper here. I got my paper notebook instead of my, fancy digital to-do list. But if you have your favorite tax guide, see if you can find it online and keep it beside you, and then search the word, do Control F military on that military question, and then you'll go to that, because those, unfortunately, those IRS documents are very huge, so they've never written a short resource in their life. So that might be a tip for getting through. We have a couple questions here, because you did mention the volunteer, and then I know at the beginning it was talked about ideally you have paid experience. So what about the VITA program, the IRS Volunteer Tax Program? Does if someone's been doing that for a long time, where they've maybe even done way more than 30 returns, like does that count? And how do y'all treat those applicants?
I can answer that. So for the tax associate and tax expert, we do need that paid preparation tax experience. But Gail, I wouldn't mind connecting with you and we can talk offline.
There you go, Gail. Awesome. It pays to show up, Gail. What about people who've had a break in their resume, their timeline? So what if they've prepared taxes 6, 7, 8 years ago, but maybe they did a lot? How do y'all view that kind of candidate?
I can answer that. Oh, go ahead.
So, I mean, on that end, like I said, it's always just very helpful to, apply regardless, and then include all of those things. Like, the more detailed you are in your resume, the better it is for us. I guess regardless even of the timeline, right?
Got it. So, yeah, those types of folks have reached out to me, and I think these jobs are a great place for a variety of different people, and Intuit's kind of geared towards. I mean, they're not looking for that one person, right? They have this huge amount of clients and huge amount of roles. So yeah, if there's a military spouse who knows all about the quirky military tax filing, that's not the only kind of person they're serving, though. It's not the only kind of client they're serving. So they need all sorts of people. So apply. That's why we're doing this job fair. They're hiring in earnest. So speaking of hiring in earnest, what kind of a timeline are we looking at for getting started working? Because y'all, tax season typically January to April, but are people starting working now? Or is the onboarding? Are there some jobs being onboarded immediately?
So a lot of it's a great question. So the majority of them are going to start in January.
Okay.
There's very few that will start in December, but here's the deal. Those that are starting in December are only going to go through training, because there's no phone calls that come in. So at least we get them onboarded, they complete training, and then come January, they're ready to hit the ground running. So when we talk to folks, we let them know the start dates that are available. And and they know if you're going to start in January, you're not really going to work, you're just going to do training. But right now, the remainder of our start dates are specifically for January.
All right. Well, guys, Santiago and Karina are both in our Facebook group. So, and they have both mentioned that they want to connect with y'all if you have questions about the interview or the status of your application. But I also wanted just to give them a chance about, in case they don't monitor the Facebook group every moment, every day, what other ways can they get in contact with y'all? And how do y'all envision working with people who have paid attention to this interview, who are part of this job fair? What kind of wheel greasing can y'all do for them?
Yeah, so maybe it's, outside of like Facebook, you can feel free to find us on LinkedIn. Besides that, and directly via email as well. So I'm not sure if we have that LinkedIn or.
I'll share that in the Facebook group just so it's
Okay.
not out everywhere. But point is, guys, if y'all want these jobs, Karina and Santiago are anxious to connect with you, and even though they might not be your direct recruiter, they know how to kind of look you up. And I have kind of asked Intuit that, like, I know that there's that uncertainty about when you apply and you're not sure what's your status is, and that some people would even appreciate like get some more experience and apply next year. And so they could probably even help get y'all that kind of an answer as well, instead of just leaving you in limbo. So please utilize the connection, because that's sort of the whole purpose of this job fair. If you have any other questions, chime them in right now. And I got one more question while we're waiting. This is mine. What are the most successful TurboTax Live associates and experts like? What kind of, how, the ones who really succeed, the ones who get that first comeback letter? Karina, can you answer that one?
Absolutely. I think a lot of it too, what's helpful is with their metrics that the managers give them, because a lot of it too, they'll request customer feedback. So it's all about, and every call is recorded, before I forget. So the customer feedback is important, because even though there's a different department that's monitoring those calls, the managers mainly will look at that feedback to see, how did this agent help out the customer? Nobody's perfect. Okay, I'll give you that. And sometimes, customers will call in upset. So it's really just more of like the way, like we want these agents to be representing Intuit. They are the first point of contact with these customers. And granted, they may not be happy, or may say, oh, the IRS didn't, pay me last year, or your guys' fault. I get it. We got to listen. So it's all about how the agent is managing these calls. That really makes a difference as well. And then a lot of folks too, depending on their performance, their managers will say, I want to recommend them to be a lead or a manager for next season. So they'll come back next season in either a lead or manager role. And even though it's seasonal, though, like, it still speaks volume. Like, we want to make sure that the folks we are hiring, that they're really, they're making our customers feel amazing at the end of the day.
Awesome. Well, I don't see any more questions in the chat, so I'm going to wrap this up, guys. If you want to apply for these jobs, the Intuit has given us special links to apply. They are at bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Intuit, and that allows them to track who's coming from this group. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that's how you will get all of the rest of the interviews. There's still many more in this job fair. Pay attention to the QuickBooks Live ones too, because I've heard many people who've gone TurboTax to QuickBooks Live, or QuickBooks Live to TurboTax. A lot of people are, have skills in both. So see which one maybe you like better, and don't miss the rest of the interviews. The schedule is at the bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Intuit link as well. Thank you, Karina and Santiago, for being here and being generous with your time. And we look forward to being able to have everyone connect with you in the Get Hired Facebook group. And for now, we will sign off. Adios, everyone.
Thank you.